Okay, moment of truth. Are you ready? How did I leave my classroom before I left for spring break? And I get to just go around and talk to kids about books. And like, it's kind of why I became an English teacher. Talk to kids about books. You know, I want to show you reality beyond anything else as a teacher in my classroom. So I'm seeing the light spark in so many of my students that it's encouraging me to keep going because it is super worth it. Good morning and welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. If this is your first time here, my name's Marie. I'm a high school English teacher in normally sunny San Diego, California. It's a little foggy right now because that's normal spring in San Diego. So it is my first day back from spring break. I am on my way to work right now. I am eerily not late, if that makes any sense. Those of you who've been watching me for a while, you understand what I'm talking about. And I have no idea how I left my classroom. Like legitimately, I have no idea how I left my classroom. I up and left because I was just done the Friday of spring break, and let's see what I'm about to get into, shall we? It's gonna be a busy day. Okay, moment of truth. Are you ready? How did I leave my classroom before I left for spring break? Actually, it's not that bad. Here, let me show you. I'm actually kind of pleased with myself. I mean, there's definitely like, grading piles, like stuff that kids turned in before break that I will be grading like throughout this week because they're writing assignments that I need to grade. Well, period, full stop, I need to grade them, but then also just, I need to get them graded before they do another writing assignment in the exact same vein so that they can like take feedback and improve. But I'm walking around. I did have students put up their chairs, as we can see here, and that means that the floors got really vacuumed really well with like the big turbo vacuum by our custodians. And the worst part is really my desk area and the front huge pile of composition books. So it's not actually as bad as it could be. It's not as bad as I have made it before. I'll take you on a little tour in a minute. But before I do that, right now I've got about 25 minutes before class starts. So what I'm gonna do is print off a short story that we're actually gonna be looking at today. All three of my classes are actually doing the exact same lesson today because it's just how it worked out. My sophomores, we are starting a study of the Holocaust Memoir Night. And so we're gonna go check it out. Oh, I have to go to the library and check. Okay, I got a lot to do. Just kidding, I gotta talk fast. I'll give you a mess tour in a little bit. We need to go check out Night because we're gonna start reading through Night over the next 4 or 5 days. It's a very short little book, but it is so heavy that I like to just like freight train, go straight through the book and like straight through the memoir and taking notes as we go, and then kind of just like bring it all together at the end. It's just kind of my style of teaching. I've done that, I've done Night so many times that I've tried it a lot of different ways. I've found if it's one of those that I string out too long, some of the impact is lost because their little brains shut off. And I mean, quite frankly, you can't blame them. It's like atrocities of genocide that we're reading about from a firsthand account. So we are going to start that today. And my sophomores, we are starting book clubs that go along with To Kill a Mockingbird. I've been talking about this endlessly. I've been reading the books. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm in love with how I am building this unit and I'm really excited about it and I cannot wait to share more, but I kind of have to like guinea pig it out with my students first. But basically both of my classes are talking about prejudice and discrimination and like racism. And so we're gonna read a short story called, I don't remember, but I'll show it to you later because my brain is just like freaking out because I need to get moving. And I need to go make a class set of copies for that because I'm going to be trying to save paper and have them take notes on sticky notes and then transfer that to their notebooks. Yeah, it's Monday morning and I need more coffee. Okay, I'll check in with you in a bit. Good morning. it is a Wednesday morning. So after I filmed that little roundabout of my room to actually show you guys what it looks like in here and still looks like in here, looked like and still looks like in here, I felt so awful by like halfway through the day on Monday. It seriously hit like 11:30 noon on Monday, and all of a sudden this like feeling washed over me, and I was like, oh no. I came back from break and got sick. Anyways, I just, who knows? Like, I'm worn down. Even going on spring break, and I still am worn down because when you're a mom of little kids especially, like, you just don't sleep. Like, there's not really rest. I don't really like sit down very often, and my body just like feels it. So that's where I'm at. You can see me just doing my normal wandering around my classroom right now. But I wanted to fill you in, and I'll fill you in more later this afternoon on what's going on in my classroom this week. So the thing that I'm the most excited about right now that's happening in my classroom this week is that my 9th graders have already started our book clubs that go along with To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm doing something that's pretty experimental for most secondary English classrooms. Excuse me. And I'm gonna lose my voice, I think, if I keep talking like that. My normal loud volume, I'm gonna need to bring it down a little bit. But my students had the choice between 4 different novels, and I'm gonna go into great depth with this with the vlog at some point in time, kind of talking about the whole thing and like reflecting on how all of it goes. But I am setting them up with some book clubs that are based on the novel that they chose. They got to do a little like speed dating of all 4 of these novels, and they all have like character and some thematic links to Kill a Mockingbird. But like the coolest thing in the world is to have students like sneaking a peek at their book while you're talking, because they're just like so excited to start reading it. And that's what kept happening Monday and yesterday, Tuesday. And so then yesterday, Tuesday, we did a little bit of discussing like a short little excerpt that we had read, because we started talking about prejudice, because it's coming up in all of our books. And then I just gave them time to just read, and it was the coolest thing. It was just so cool. Like, they're all excited to start reading their books, and I had them fill out a little exit ticket to make a prediction about what they think is going to be happening in their books. So I'm gonna look at that today, actually. They have their first quiz today. So yesterday I made 4 quizzes, 4 different quizzes, one for each of the books. I mean, they're very similar. They've got like comprehension questions, they've got like text dependent questions, but still 4 different quizzes. It was all, there's 40 questions right there. And they'll be doing that today, and then they have their first book club meeting, so I need to get that stuff together. If you have not already seen how I do lit circles or book clubs, I will link that video up in the iCard right now. But my 9th graders have never done these lit circles before, so it's just a lot of like setup and explaining to them how it goes. And once they understand how to do it all, the conversations kind of run themselves, and it all kind of like works very nicely. And I get to just go around and talk to kids about books, and like, it's kind of why I became an English teacher. Talk to kids about books, you know? So I will check in with you guys in a bit. I need to clean up still. Like, the piles of books on my desk are pretty quintessentially English teachery, but like, I should probably clean up. Yeah, I got prep to do. Okay, bye. Hello again. So it is almost the end of the day, and today was a bit of a whirlwind of activity, but that's okay. So like I said earlier, my freshmen today took a quiz, their first reading quiz on their not independent, but their like book club reading novels. They had a choice reading, and that meant that I had to create 4 completely different quizzes, one for each of the novels, which is fine. It's just a lot of work up front. Basically, the way that I like to do is I like to create assessments that are going to like echo later on when they take high stakes testing, so that like those types of questions, they can learn how to understand like the text dependent like questions that they get on like state testing and on the SAT and the ACT and that kind of thing. They can really like learn how to unpack those questions with me, and it's not just like this totally foreign thing. It just makes a lot of sense to me. And it's a way to just get them thinking differently about their literature. And it's a lot of work up front to create all these different assessments. But even if I don't teach like this grade again, these novels are still good for any grade to look at, right? You just kind of like change the focus a little bit. So like if I have the frame of a unit and I have like the assessments created, I can always use them in the future. And plus, from like a grading standpoint, if I create these really complex and rich assessments that have multiple choice questions, fill in the blank questions, short answer questions, and they're not just all, okay, tell me about what you read, where then I have to do really in-depth reading on the grading side of things, it makes the after part, the grading, a whole lot quicker. I am the person who, if the grading isn't quick and to the point and very directly looking at specific standards and specific skills, it will take me forever to get things back to students. And even as it is, like this room is covered with things that I need to grade tomorrow, because basically every single student I have turned in a writing assignment and a couple of other small things right before break. And then I went to break and then I got back, and 3 days into being back from spring break, and I still haven't graded any of it yet. So like truly I've only had it for like 3 days if you look at the school schedule, but like 3 days plus an entire week in the middle. I need to get some grading done. And it's fine, I'll get it done this week. It's just like now it's piling up because then all of my classes took quizzes, and they're all gonna take quizzes on Friday again. And I just need to like keep up with it all and maintain a better balance. I'm normally really good and I have specific days of the week that I do grading, but I just kind of like, you know, didn't keep up with it right now. So there we go. Yeah, but I wanted to tell you guys about what I did with my freshmen, and I'm gonna go into depth on this a little bit more on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, head over to my story highlights, my To Kill a Mockingbird ones. Basically, I bought a product from room 213 TPT, and I'll link that shop down below. And it was, I can't even remember the name of it. I'll put a title on the screen here because I don't remember the name of the product. But, oh yeah, do I? Oh, I think it was actually for night, because my sophomores have started to read night. And so I got a product that was like pre-reading activities for night. Yes, that's what it was. And so it talks about prejudice, and it talks about stereotyping, and it talks about racism, which works perfectly with what we're doing with To Kill a Mockingbird and with these lit circles anyways. So, but I wanted to tell you, this product from room 213 TBT has this great like excerpt from a novel, and of course I've completely forgotten the title of the novel, I've completely forgotten the author of the novel. I'm like really batting 1,000 right now. I said a million, what is the saying anyways? Okay, I don't feel good, I'm sorry, I'm a little loopy. Anyways, the excerpt is entitled Take a Ride on My Bus, and it's I printed it out, it's about 5 sheets front and back, so it's 10 pages, but it's like, as you can see, it's pretty big writing. And we had a little discussion about, I put students through in their little table groups, and actually I'll show you exactly what I had them do. Every single group got, so for my freshmen, every single group got a yellow paper like this. They had to fold it into quadrants, and they had to write prejudice, stereotype, racism, and then a blank one. And then my sophomores, because we're also talking specifically about genocide, the last one said genocide. Like I said, I'll go into this a little bit better. And we spent some time defining them, like in their small groups, and then sharing out. And then we looked at dictionary definitions of each of these terms. And then we talked about how do you go from prejudice into believing stereotypes, into acting on them through racist acts and racism, like, and violence. And then how does that become genocide? And like my sophomores were like, well, that's a big jump. And I was like, is it? So we are just getting into them starting the book Night, the Holocaust memoir Night, and like the whole beginning of Night is everybody denying what's going on and what's real. But that's kind of like the predecessor. Like I said, I'll do a better job of talking about what I did with that with my freshmen on Instagram, so check out my stories. But then we read through this excerpt, and it's from, like I said, a longer like YA novel. And it is about a teacher, an English teacher, doing a demonstration about segregation. And so doing basically like a Rosa Parks demonstration. And so it's like, come get on my bus. And then she like excludes one student because of the color of her hair. And it opened up a great conversation, because the product from TPT also comes with some discussion questions. And those discussion questions ask, like, you know, is it right for the teacher to do this? Is it, you know, what sort of an effect did it have on the students? Do the ends justify the means? And then I added a few questions trying to help us all identify our own just like natural biases. So like, not a single student's race is mentioned in this passage, or like character's race is mentioned. And so I asked my students, like, what race is the teacher? And they just like looked at me and I was like, what does the teacher look like? And they're like, oh, I said, well, where's the evidence in the text to back up your description of the teacher, like whatever your description is? And they just kind of stare and I go, that is your bias coming through. Bias is natural. It is a part of who you are as a human being. Recognizing your own bias is what makes you evolved. Like being able to look at biases and reflect upon them, that is what I want you to do. Don't feel badly just because you thought that the teacher was white and looked like me carrying a coffee. That is your frame of reference right now. But just realize that there's no mention of what the teacher actually looks like in here. There's no mention of her age, of her race, of her appearance, really. So that's something to reflect upon and to then just be conscious of. And it made them very uncomfortable for a minute. And then I think they started to like understand, like as you're reading, even like my 9th graders, they're reading, you know, these choice novels, like some of your novels, it's going to be very clear the race and the appearance of the characters because they will be very well described by the narrator or by, you know, like whoever it is that's telling the story. Sometimes they won't. So just think like, why did you assume this about this character? Are there things that the character does that then feed into some stereotypes and some biases that are in your own head that you could reflect upon? It was a cool conversation though. I liked it a lot. It was pretty neat. Like I said, if you want to see this whole entire like lesson, everything that I did with it, I'll show you on my Instagram story. But I have to get cleaning right now at this room because I can't really see the top of my desk. Like I swear, there's a tabletop there somewhere, but I can't find it. And then there's the floor underneath my desk. Like there's a floor down there, it's carpet, and I can't find it. So I'm gonna go and try and find those now. Yeah, so tomorrow I'm actually really excited because my freshmen just get to read all period. We started a book club meeting today and I'll go over that a little bit more with you guys probably tomorrow because they didn't get to finish it yet. We're gonna do that whole big lit tracer thing on the board that I did with Lord of the Flies with my sophomores. If you saw a couple months ago, those vlogs, I'm gonna do that again where they're kind of like plot pointing different annotations and making connections back to To Kill a Mockingbird between their book club book and To Kill a Mockingbird. So I'm excited to show you about that. Tomorrow I will go over all of that stuff with you guys because I need to set that all up. But now, I don't feel good. I told you I was gonna lose my voice. It's starting to get a little shaky. And I need to clean before I go and get my babies. So wish me luck. Here I go. All right, you guys, I did not get all the cleaning done that I wanted to get done, but you know, if nothing else, you guys tell me at least through your comments, and I hope that this comes through. I want to show you reality beyond anything else as a teacher in my classroom. So, hashtag real life, I didn't get everything done that I needed to get done, but I got enough done. And I am enough ahead that I have a quiz that my students for my sophomores are taking on night tomorrow. They had to read chapters 3 and 4 today, between today in class and tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning I'll come in and I'll get the butcher paper to put up on the wall and I will show you guys all of that for this theme tracer. It's like a lit tracer. I don't know really what I'm gonna call it yet. I keep calling it all these things, but it's basically like a big, huge literary timeline. Ooh, maybe that's it. Maybe it'll be a plot, timeline, tracer theme. I don't know. Help me come up with, like, if you guys put down in the comments below what I should call this stinking thing, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look at some of my other vlogs, which I will link in the iCards, and I will be back to show you tomorrow what it is, and I'll even show you some of the cool things that kids are saying after they finish their first book club meeting. I'm pretty excited about it. It's cool, like the conversations they're starting to have. I think they didn't realize that they could have academic conversations about stuff that they're interested in. Like, they aren't forced conversations. They are talking truly about Star from The Hate U Give and like talking about her relationship with her dad and like likening it to relationships with characters they see on TV and with their own relationships with their family, and then realizing like, oh, I'm having an academic conversation about this characterization and the development of this character in this novel in my English class, and then they can liken it back to Scout and her relationship with her father and how they differ and how they're the same and how these girls learn from their fathers and blah, 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 blah. I just love when choice reading really does all of the things that we want it to do, and it like just breathes new life into your classroom. It's just the best. Okay, I gotta go, bye. Good morning. It is Thursday morning. I am in my classroom because we have some testing going on right now, and I am kind of like a break reliever for our state testing that's going on, just for my colleagues. So I'm just kind of on call. At any moment, my phone will buzz and somebody will need me to go and help them out. Yeah, so while I am kind of in between helping out my colleagues with testing, I am getting some stuff done in this classroom. The number one thing that I have to do right now is go and get butcher paper to put up on the walls. I'm looking at both sides because I have two freshman classes. I'm gonna make them each their own big, huge, like, plot tracer. I still don't know what to call it. And if I figure out what to call it, I can actually write like a legit blog post on like what I do and like how I set it up. You know? Anyways, back to business here. I'm gonna go get the butcher paper to put up on the walls. I need to draw big, huge timelines for each of the novels that we are talking about, along with To Kill a Mockingbird. And then the other thing I need to do is be really strategic and make myself a plan for the rest of these reading quizzes that my students are going to be taking with these novels. So I just want to be very strategic in the way that their assessments make them already start to make connections between To Kill a Mockingbird and their novel. I know that they are scaffolded. Oh gosh, am I scaffolded enough to talk today? I know that the scaffolding has been put in place. Like, I know that I have planned this well. I just don't know if if I'm going too fast. So time will tell. And I mean, it's all about reflective teaching, right? So we will see how they do. I'll be able to let you guys like know on next week's vlog, because by the time they actually take the test and everything, you guys will already be seeing this vlog. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going right now. I'm gonna go get the butcher paper. I'm gonna keep my phone ringer on so that if anybody needs me, I can just like stop what I'm doing, go pop in and help them out with testing. And yeah, it's gonna be a good day. So we've got The Hate You Give, Dear Martin, A Very Large Expanse of Sea, focus, Very Large Expanse of Sea, and The Outsiders, because those are the 4 different novels we're reading along with To Kill a Mockingbird. And then I have 5 of these big chunks all the way across. They're in no way evenly spaced, but like more or less eyeballed it. And then here, so all of the annotations for meeting number 1, for the first chunk of reading, will go in these big boxes. So the way that they are annotating, I'm keeping it really simple because this is 9th grade and this is pretty hard stuff. So I just want to like really hone in. I don't want to annotate setting and symbols and character and themes and like, I just want to get really, really good at identifying, analyzing, and therefore creating an annotation for specific elements, because once they understand those, like how to do those skills, they can do those skills for any sorts of elements, like literary elements that come up in a reading. So we are specifically looking at character, like character development moments in our texts that really just develop, like, oh, this shows justice from Dear Martin because blah, 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 blah. There's the quote, you know, the evidence, and then their analysis, the why, the how, the what it shows. That's one type of annotation they're gonna be creating and putting up on this wall. And the second type of annotation they're going to be creating are moments where they see connections and parallels and similarities to Kill a Mockingbird. So I'll have 2 different colors going up over there. I need to make one for the other wall directly in front of me right now for my other class, because I want to make sure they have plenty of room. I mean, it's all a big experiment. I like to say that this is my experimenting year, but like, if you really know me, you know that I do stuff like this all the time. I just want to try different things that like different kids can grasp onto in different ways, and sometimes I revisit the old stuff and sometimes I'm reinventing the wheel again. But I am very much right now in a year of a lot of experiment and a lot of change, and it's exhausting, absolutely. Like, I'm super tired all the time, just because I'm creatively like exhausted. Not to mention my 2 small children at home. Sorry, but it's worth it, you know? Like, I'm seeing the light spark in so many of my students that it's encouraging me to keep going, because it is super worth it. So yeah, I'm actually going to sign off with you guys here. I will come back to you next week with next week's classroom vlog of an update on how all this is going, to see it all come together. So until we meet again, thank you so much for watching. If you've not already subscribed, please take a second to do so you don't miss the next few vlogs. I have a really fun one coming up this weekend for you guys. It's a collaboration with some pretty familiar teacher tubers. We are going to do one lesson for 3 different grades and show how you would teach one thing for elementary, upper elementary, high school. I think you're going to like it, so don't miss it. That's coming out this weekend, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.